What I am about to describe is going to sound exactly like your life, and when it does, I need you to keep watching, because the advice at the end of this is exactly what you need right now. You wake up next to the same person you have woken up next to for over a decade, and somewhere between the morning routine and the evening silence, you realize that something has quietly disappeared, not with a bang, not with a fight, not with a dramatic moment you can point to, just gone, like a slow leak in a tire you did not notice until the car stopped moving. And the scariest part is that you still love this person. You are not unhappy exactly, but you are not alive in this marriage either. And you are starting to wonder if this is just what love becomes after 10 years. I am here to tell you right now that it is not. Layla was 41 years old when she sat across from her husband at dinner one evening and realized she could not remember the last time she had really looked at him, not glanced at him, not checked on him, but truly looked at him the way she used to when they first met. They had been married for 12 years. They had built a home together, raised two children together, survived difficult seasons together, and from the outside everything looked perfect. But inside that dinner table silence, Layla felt a cold and frightening truth. She and her husband had become very efficient roommates. They managed the house, they managed the children, they managed the finances, and they managed each other with the kind of calm and organized distance that looks like peace but is actually numbness. She remembered the early years when they would stay up until 3 in the morning just talking, when a simple touch on the arm would send electricity through her whole body. When going somewhere together felt like an adventure, even if it was just a short drive. And now, none of that. She had told herself it was normal. She had told herself that this is what mature love looks like. But sitting at that table watching her husband scroll through his phone while she pushed food around her plate, Layla knew she had been lying to herself and that the marriage she wanted was still possible, but only if she was brave enough to stop pretending it was fine. The first thing you must understand is that excitement in a long marriage does not come back on its own. You have to choose it the way you chose each other in the beginning. Stop waiting for the feeling to return before you take action, because that is backwards. The feeling follows the action, not the other way around. Layla made one decision that changed everything. She decided to be curious about her husband again, not curious about the bills or the schedule or the problems, genuinely curious about who he was becoming as a person. She started asking him questions she had never asked before. What was he afraid of right now in his life? What was something he had always wanted to try but never told her? What did he think about when he could not sleep at night? And what she discovered shocked her. This man she had lived with for 12 years was still full of thoughts and dreams and fears she had never heard because she had stopped asking. From today, you must treat your partner like a person you are still trying to know, because they are. People change every single year, and if you stopped being curious about your partner, you are now living with a stranger you think you know everything about. The second thing is this: you must bring novelty back into the relationship on purpose and with intention. The brain becomes numb to anything that is always the same. That is not a character flaw in you or your partner. It is just how humans are built. So you must deliberately introduce newness. This does not mean expensive trips or grand gestures. It means doing something together that neither of you has ever done before, learning something new side by side, going somewhere unfamiliar even if it is close to home, trying a food you have never tried, having a conversation in a different room of the house than usual. Novelty does not have to be big. It just has to be real. Layla and her husband started cooking one completely new meal together every single week. They were terrible at it. They laughed at themselves. They made disasters. And in those disasters, they found each other again because laughter and shared struggle are the original glue of human connection. Now, here's the thing nobody tells you, and I need you to sit with this for a moment. The marriage did not get boring because you chose the wrong person. The marriage got boring because you stopped choosing each other every single day. Stop expecting your marriage to feel exciting when you have stopped putting anything exciting into it. You cannot withdraw from an account you stopped depositing into and then wonder why it is empty. The third piece of advice is one of the most powerful, and almost no one does it. You must create rituals that belong only to the two of you, not family rituals, not routines that include the children, but something that is exclusively yours as a couple. Layla and her husband created what they called their 10-minute ritual every single night before sleep. No phones, no talking about the house or the children or tomorrow's problems. Just 10 minutes where they each shared one good thing and one real feeling from the day. It sounds simple, and it is. But that simplicity is exactly what makes it sacred. Over time, those 10 minutes became the part of the day they both protected fiercely, because in those 10 minutes, they were not parents or providers or problem solvers. They were just two people who chose each other. Find your ritual, protect it like your marriage depends on it, because it does. The fourth piece of advice will be uncomfortable to hear. You must invest in yourself as an individual. A marriage becomes dull when two people lose themselves inside it, when you stop growing, stop dreaming, stop becoming. You become a gray and static version of the person your partner fell in love with. Layla had stopped painting, something she had loved deeply before marriage. She picked it up again, not for her husband, for herself. And what happened was unexpected. Her husband became attracted to her aliveness again, because there is nothing more magnetic in a long term relationship than watching your partner be genuinely passionate about something. Become interesting to yourself again, and you will become interesting to each other again. The fifth thing is about touch, and not the kind of touch that leads somewhere else, just touch. The kind that says, I see you and I am here. Layla began reaching for her husband's hand when they were sitting quietly, placing her hand on his back when she walked past him in the kitchen. These small acts of physical warmth are not small at all. They are the language of intimacy that most couples slowly stop speaking after years together. And when that language disappears, the distance that follows is enormous. Even if you are sleeping in the same bed, start speaking that language again today, not tomorrow, today. And the sixth and final piece of advice is perhaps the most important of all. You must talk about your marriage openly with each other, and not just about the problems, but about the vision. Sit with your partner and ask, what do we want this marriage to feel like 5 years from now? What do we want to build together that we have not built yet? What adventure do we want to have? What version of us do we want to become? Layla had this conversation with her husband one evening, and they both cried, not from sadness, from relief, because they had both been quietly carrying the same longing, and neither had said it out loud. Speak it out loud. A marriage with a shared vision is a marriage that stays alive. Here is the viral wisdom line I want you to carry with you forever. A great marriage is not something you find. It is something you build every single day with dirty hands and an open heart. From today, stop treating your marriage like something that should maintain itself. It is the most important living thing in your life, and it needs daily care. Layla's marriage today is not perfect, but it is alive. And alive is everything. You already have everything you need to transform this. The question is whether you are willing to begin, not next month, not after things settle down, right now, in the very next moment you share with the person you chose. Tell me in the comments, what is one thing you are going to do differently in your relationship starting today? I want to hear from you. Follow Dr. Shema for more advice that goes deep into your heart every single day.